I want to talk about results. So you are writing this book, and of course, you want people to receive it well. Of course, you want New York Times bestseller. Of course, you want this to be the book that is one of one.
Yes.
I heard someone say that when we are creating and we are doing our art and we are doing our work, and when it's not connected to results, it's a form of worship. It's a form of our contribution.
You know, like with this show, people will not, because not everyone has to understand the depths of sacrifice it takes to be willing to say yes what God has told you to do. When you don't have the blueprint, you just have one piece of instruction. It comes and then it goes. And what are you left with? And I remember forecasting out like, so Jovian, you could win an award. What's going to happen then? And then what? And then what? And it's just, you know, life has this habit of going on. And that also reminds me that the thing I do know will go on too is God. And so holding on to results that were predetermined by man to be successful, or by woman, or by people, it really is a waste of time.
I wanted something that I could watch that could say, oh, that's really how you identify purpose. Hey, let's talk about the journey.
I always say it, but I believe the greatest way to serve is to tell your story. And I'm humbled by the people that have said yes.
With all of that success, you're still responsible for the platform that God has given you.
I'm just so humbled, honored that you said yes, that we are sitting here across from each other and we're actually doing this.
We are doing it.
The world knows you as a marvelous, prolific international keynote speaker.
Oh.
You are an executive coach for many, many really big brands out there. But I know you as Jovian, the friend that came into my life where I really needed you the most. A woman that is filled with integrity and purpose. A woman that finds the silver lining and the optimism in everything that they do. A woman that is inspirational, that inspires me on a daily basis from the way that you are as a mother, a friend, and a wife. And I'm humbled to call you friend. So I love you.
Where are the tissues?
Already?
Oh, thank you. I'm humbled to be here because our relationship exists in that way, because that's a reflection of how you show up for me. And it is divine how God said, now, you know, you can be in each other's orbit for a long time. And the way that we found each other, I'm grateful.
Yep.
I'm so
and we're
grateful.
here.
And we're here.
And we're going to get right into it.
Ooh, Lord.
You know me. I like to get right
Let's
into
do
it.
it.
So, executive coaching.
Yes.
International keynote speaker. How did you know that this was a call that you needed to answer, that this was something that God was calling you to do?
Yeah. You know, sometimes purpose is really born out of burden and born out of recognizing what you wish could have been for yourself, right? And at the same time, purpose is also born out of what I'd like to think of as like this beautiful mixture of identity, desired legacy, and desired impact, right? Like all of those things fit together to the sense of purpose. So how I show up now in my work as a keynote speaker and as a coach and as a consultant and things, it really was born out of the same young Jovi spirit that I had when I was little, the same spirit that would say in second grade, right? Or later in fifth grade when I would see someone being bullied and not taken care of and not having a place to feel encouraged, or someone who felt cast aside. That same spirit of knowing I want to be the person who gives them a place to land, who encourages them, who sees people who don't get seen. I have felt those ways when I was little. I felt those ways in my career. And so now, from the same young Jovi who would take time for a kid in class who was being bullied, to the Jovi now who is grateful that she had mentors and sponsors and advocates who did over time see me in my career. I am an executive coach because I know what it feels like to sit across from someone who will take the time in your career, which your career isn't just your work. It also is a reflection of how you want to show up in the world. Someone who will just sit with you and be with you, almost like a business therapist, if you will. I knew I needed that in my career. And so my desired impact came out of what I didn't have and then what I ultimately got to see, How
good is that?
Girl.
I feel like I want to underline that just for a second because what you said in the beginning about it was a burden.
Yes.
Expound on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I've said in the past, like, don't let your blessings become a burden. And what I mean by that, and what I could say, I think more eloquently now that I am a parent, and I also know that having a child is one of the most extraordinary gifts that you can experience through your human journey. It also, though, comes with trials, just like most gifts that we've been given, right? You have to learn to take care of this child. You have to endure sleepless nights. So there is yet a blessing and also a burden. And early in my career, I would have moments, Natalie, where I felt like I was the only person who could see the dysfunction on a team. And I was like, why isn't that leader doing anything? Like, people are not happy here. People aren't thriving. Why isn't anyone doing anything? And I felt the call to want to fix team morale, to want to pull people aside, to have like one-on-one spaces, to really say the thing they wanted to say in the meeting, but didn't say in the meeting, which is actually making us have another meeting for no reason.
That part.
You know what I mean? So like I felt the burden of clarity and discernment. But what I'm grateful for is that I was able to then, with the support of others, translate that into what do you do about that for career's sake? How could you fill a hole? How could you fill a void?
Yeah. How can you be the solution? Miles Monroe, obviously one of the greatest theologians that has ever lived, always says, in order for you to find purpose, find the problem and become the solution.
Become the solution, yeah.
And that's obviously what you have done. And you even, obviously you do it for your clients, but you also do it for your friends. So I do want you to know that. You're writing a book.
Girl.
Bravo!
Talk about it, I'm writing a book.
Oh my God. Soft landings for hard days. Before we get into the intricacies and the nuances of the process of writing the book, tell me about the title.
Hearing you say that title, I could just sit and weep. Because this book, Soft Landings for Hard Days, by me, Jovian Zayne, it represents a culmination of what I now know in life. And I thank God I'll know many more things in the future, but what I know now is that we deserve softer landings for the hard days that are going to inevitably come. The hard days that are a part of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
The days when you feel incredibly confident and then all of a sudden minutes later you feel wildly insecure. Or for the days you feel like, I miss my old life, what I had, but yet you love the joy of the present, but you still miss what was. This title represents, I think, the both and of life. And the older you get, the more you can be wise enough to know I should expect the both and, but even in your expecting it, it doesn't necessarily make it easier. Like you can expect your parents will get older, but it doesn't make it easier when you know that you have to figure out how are you going to put them into a nursing home. You can expect that your body's going to change, but it doesn't always make it easier when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize those new lines or this pudge that won't leave or gray hair that's in the wrong place. Like you can expect that you'll lose friends, but it doesn't make it easier on the days when it feels like you're grieving by yourself. And then you can expect and hope to fall in love, but sometimes it still doesn't make it easier when you feel like I don't have anyone to share this enormous amount of joy I have because either they're gone, the people I would share it with, or I didn't cultivate the community that I needed for a moment like this.
Yeah.
So this book is my heart's, I think, most earnest desire to hold space for people.
Yeah.
The thing I think we need most as we walk each other through life and ultimately back to the place where we started we need a companion. And this book is my desire to be a companion to those who feel like I want somebody to sit with me.
Yeah. Oh, I just, obviously I've been walking with you throughout this journey.
Literally.
Literally walking. We do walks, guys. Literally, figuratively, and spiritually,
Yes.
and understanding the resistance that has come up during the process of writing this book. And we know that resistance can come in a lot of different forms. And one of the things that you shared with me was that self-doubt would consistently creep in when you are writing. What is your approach and response to that self-doubt when you're in the flow writing and then boop, it comes up and you feel whatever you may feel?
Girl.
How do you respond to it?
Girl. So first of all, shout out to my therapist. I'm going to send you this link. I don't even know what camera to look at, but baby, thank you. You already know why we're here. So early on in the process, when I was muddling my way through the clarity of what the book was, I had so much self-doubt because I was doing the things many creatives do when we're beginning to create is we self-edit.
Yep.
And you cannot edit what hasn't been created. But we find ourselves in that place like, oh, I'm going to redo the house. You haven't built the house. You can't redecorate it, right? But I was thinking miles and miles ahead of readjusting sentences and how I should reformat things that weren't created yet. And that's because the Jovian that was hesitant about getting criticized, the Jovian that wanted to entertain the myth of perfection, she thought she was the one to write the book. But my therapist reminded me that there are many parts of us that show up at different times. And she said, who's the Jovian that wants to write the book? That's the one who gets to write the book. That's the one you're going to talk to first. The other ones will come in as gut checks. Like I do need the Jovian who knows that the spirit of excellence is high in me. And like, I want to invite her in, but she can't get the first draft. I got to be with the Jovian who's like, it's in you.
Wait, that's big right there.
Yeah.
Because we are all, I believe, especially entrepreneurs and creatives, we want excellence.
We want
Want
excellence.
to make sure that, almost as close as perfectionism.
Baby, you're right.
But perfectionism can be a form of resistance.
It can.
And so for you to say, you know what, the Jovian of excellence shouldn't arrive. It actually should be the Jovian of
fun, of
that's really good.
The Jovian, really like the joy.
Yeah.
And the Jovian, the pure-hearted, I want to do this because as my husband George says, like, even if you weren't watching, I'd be doing this anyway.
Right.
Like, we don't record our walks, and we've walked, I don't know, hundreds of times. We don't post about the walks because we're going to be doing that anyway. Mm-hmm. That's the Jovian who wants to write the book, who's going to sit with friends and encourage them, who's going to listen to her parents, have their bad days too, that's the same Jovian who, one of my closest friends, Amy, growing up, when her parents were going through a divorce, I remember her mom was making us a snack. Amy was in her room and I was just like sitting on the counter listening as her mom was talking. And all of a sudden, her mom just started to go deeper and deeper. And I was just like, I think her mom needs me to listen, so I'm going to be here. That was me at 14. That's the Jovian who wants to write the book.
Come on.
Because the essence of Soft Landings for Hard Days is about holding space, which I think I was gifted with, right? It's a part of what God has poured inside of my vessel. But it's also something that I watched. Yeah. I watched my ancestors. I watched us do it in prayer meetings, at testimony services. I've watched people like you. I've watched my brothers do. I mean, I've watched my husband, my parents in loves. I've watched us, specifically as Black folks, figure out how we got to hold space for our trauma when we didn't have access or know we could get access to therapy, right? How do we hold space for what God is doing, the joy? Like, I'll testify with you real quick, right? So I had to get out of, like, the resistance piece came from thinking I needed to be perfect before I delivered it. And if that's not freeing right there, I cannot tell you how many times I'd be mid-sentence writing something that was divine, right? And then the part that would think, well, what if the person who's like kind of skeptical doesn't get it? Let me rewrite it for them. And God was like, you're not writing for them now. You're writing because I told you to just write this. Do not worry about everybody in the audience when I'm the audience. I am your primary and secondary and third dairy. I made that up, but your third audience too.
Yeah.
Like, that's also how I got past the resistance.
So good.
I couldn't just, I would say often, I tell some of my clients, like, you know, I'm big on purpose. This idea of like interrogating your why. Like, why are you even doing it? Like, what's the point? But when I started to write, I had to really excavate my why, like get underneath and then underneath that one and then underneath that one and really get to the place of understanding, why do you care about this, Jovian? Why do you want to sacrifice for this? Because you know, like with this show, people will not, because not everyone has to understand the depths of sacrifice it takes to be willing to say yes what God has told you to do. When you don't have the blueprint, you just have one piece of instruction. And God was like, don't resist the one piece I told you to do. Because if I tell you this much and you already know who I am to you, you'll trust that I will show up with the rest. So that's also how I've gotten past it. It's like, it's remembering that I do know who God is.
Yeah.
And the softest landing I can give myself every day as I write is remembering, you know God.
Yeah.
Jovian, you know God. You know God. And that's why I write.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Literally what you just said about, because we want him to show us a staircase. We want him to show us 1 through 10.
1 through 10. As
But
if we could actually handle it.
But in all, and we can't, that's the thing. We can't handle it.
Can't even.
It's like, let me just one step at a time. You know what I mean? Like how you will get there is by taking one step at a time and your obedience and following me. But that resistance can stop you because your flesh is looking for the staircase and for the more that you're actually on the right path.
That's right.
So it is a struggle, but what you just said is so true. All we have to do is take that step.
One step
At a time. And he has, it's law. You have no choice but to show up, but to meet us there. And so I'm so grateful that that is a part of your testimony in your resistance. Switching gears just a little bit. I want to talk about results. So you are writing this book, and of course, you want people to receive it well.
Yes.
Of course, you want New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
Of course, you want this to be the book that is one of one.
Yes.
But when we start to idolize results, it starts for us to question our why.
Yeah.
Are we doing this simply for results, or are we simply doing this out of act of obedience?
Yeah.
And we talked the other day when I was talking to you, I heard someone say that when we are creating and we are doing our art and we are doing our work, and when it's not connected to results, it's a form of worship. It's a form of our contribution. It's a form of, literally what God is calling us to do. And so with that, how do you not anchor in results and allow it to be the driving force for what you do?
This is such an important question. I was born September 4th.
Okay.
Beyonce and I have the same birthday.
Okay. I don't even think I realized you guys had the same birthday.
Yes.
But okay.
I say that because we all know her to be a woman of excellence. And many Virgos, part of our, the rising and all the things, which I don't even really get into astrology, though I know, I believe God is in all things, like the moon, sun, all the stuff. But what I do know for sure is that many of my friends, many of my clients even that are Virgos, we are striving for some sense of perfection somewhere, whether that is defined by just definitions we give ourselves or by standards that we understood of the world, right? But the thing that I've come to realize about results is that any result that you elevate over the result of God's glory is a waste of time. You hear me? It's a waste of time. I do this thing now where, because I'm a heavy celebrator. Like, I don't wait for like milestones. I'm like, oh my God, I finished this one small thing today, whatever. Like, I wash these dishes, celebrate. Like, I believe in celebration. I think it's biblical. I think it's spiritual. It's something we should do. We should obsess over our joy of accomplishing things. That helps us to abstain from destination obsession. We got to live and revel in the things that we have done. However, the moment when the attachment to the result eclipses the point of the result, which should just be to glorify God, the result over time, it will very quickly lose its shine.
Come on.
Like, there are moments, like I was saying, I do this thing where I recognize, oh, I did something that was great. Sit in it, Jovian. Now also just reflect as quickly as you can. Where was God in all of it? Where was God in all of it? Where was God in all of it?
Yeah.
Because I remember even after my birthday this last year, Champ Camp, epic, most incredible party.
So fun.
Girl, all the
Bomb.
things. I haven't told anybody this, but I had dreamed about Champ Camp for a while. And for it to have gone off pretty much just like I dreamed, I remember sitting back and feeling really pleased, but also like, that's it, huh? And it wasn't that I wasn't astoundingly grateful, and it wasn't that I wasn't, proud and, happy you all came. But I remember feeling like it comes and then it goes. And what are you left with? And I remember forecasting out like, so Jovian, you could win an award. What's going to happen then? And then what? And then what? And it's just, life has this habit of going on.
Yeah.
And that also reminds me that the thing I do know will go on too is God. And so holding on to results that were predetermined by man to be successful, or by woman, or by people, it really is a waste of time when the ultimate goal for my life is to get back closer to God.
Yeah. Ooh, so good.
Jesus said, Matthew 5:6, let your light so shine before men that they would see your good works, but that your Father in heaven will be glorified.
Yeah.
That last part is the key. Like, I want people to see the good works.
Right.
But if y'all think the good works are because I'm just dope, then I missed the mark.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Then I missed the mark. If you're looking at me, I missed the mark.
I missed the mark.
If you're not looking at him, when you look at me, then I missed the mark.
I missed the mark.
Yeah.
I missed the mark. And I don't know about you, but like, how many times have we, like those moments when you didn't really give God all the glory you should have, that God will tug on your skirt.
Yes.
I have felt it where God was like, hey, hey now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You thinking it's you, and I will sit you down quick.
Right.
I'll take your voice. You want to go speak? Laryngitis. You think you cute? Pit stains. You think you so fly? You just tripped on stage. Like, baby.
Humility exalts.
Yeah.
Pride will fall. That's so good.
Man.
Okay. Switching gears a little bit. Where you are in your career, and where you are not the same Jovian 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You're somebody completely different. And with that, I know that when we all want success to get here, we forget that our character has to meet us where our success is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of undoing that we must do, and unbecoming that we have to do to get to where God is calling us to go. And so where you are in your career and the clients that you have, you're writing a book. What do you believe the old keys were that you had to drop off, and the new keys that you had to pick up to open up these new doors for you?
Old keys.
What old keys did you have to drop off, and what new keys did you pick up that has then led you to the new doors?
First, as I hear that question, I think about, what did the old me want? Yeah. And I appreciate the Jovian that I could see in my rear view. I appreciate that she wanted a family. I appreciate that she wanted to be partnered. I appreciate it for her career, that she wanted to be known as one of the best coaches, that she wanted to really hone and craft her skills as a speaker and as a facilitator. I appreciate that, because that also meant that she would put in work and that she would let herself get nervous. Nerves are a form of showing that you care about a moment, right? So I appreciate that. But what I recognize a key I perhaps held on to was that, and this is certainly early in my career, but this is a piece of early work trauma you got to continually make sure you work through. I thought I needed to, at times, do it on other people's terms. When you play a corporate game for a while, if you're not careful and you work hard to assimilate into a space so you could elevate, you'll assimilate to a point where you don't recognize who you are.
Right.
And earlier on in my career, I thought that if I wanted to be the best, that I needed to respond to every email as quickly as possible. That I couldn't truly vacate when I was on vacation. And that key of let them see you grind was perpetuating a culture that now I disdain, I reject, and I look to support people in getting out of. That I was treating myself as, like I talk about in my book, like this idea of soft hands, rough hands, gentle hands. And back in the day, those are rough hands. Every email, writing back immediately, staying up late instead of putting myself to bed, like it's rough hands. Yeah. But gentle hands say things like, I'm out of office and I'm excited to be with my family during this time. I'll be back in touch. And that gentle hand closes the computer and doesn't look back. You know, that idea of you have to perform, frankly, to standards that were created by white dominant culture that exercise out of us an opportunity to be more communal.
Right. That
I gotta be the one to do it instead of we as a team can distribute this burden of work more effectively. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that to the extent that I am now. And so I had to let go of thinking that you got to perform for these people instead of you need to be aligned with God and you need to be aligned to a way of work that maybe they don't understand yet, but maybe you're supposed to usher it in. They don't understand it because they ain't seen it. That may be on you to do. So that's a part of the key for me.
There's so much that's inside of each of us. And there's so much that's inside of you that's unique to you. That is what makes you precious. So that's why today, as we think about being well, we have to remember that we have to protect our light. You are a precious human being whose light isn't always going to flicker, isn't always going to be as bright. It isn't always going to be the same. So it requires that you protect it.
And that is so huge because I don't believe that. So say if you still were this version of Jovian today, you wouldn't be able to sustain what God has given you.
Ain't no way.
Because you are constantly in performance mode. You're constantly in overdrive. You're constantly trying to satiate culture.
Yeah.
And what you're really doing is counterculture. How do you think how did you get the courage to shift that?
Yeah.
Because I think we do anchor in this hustle mentality. Jesus rested, so
for a long time. Rested for a long time. Rested in the midst of storms.
Yes.
Oh, it's howling, it's blowing.
Yes.
I'm going to bed.
Yes. But I can, that resonates with me because I used to be that and I still have a little bit of that in me that needs to get out. And I'm realizing, this needed to get out because I can't keep doing the things if I'm on this. So pragmatically, like, what was the shift? Like, what did that look like? Or what's the jump? Yeah. Like if somebody is like, you know what? I actually don't want to feel that way. I don't want to be this way where I'm running and answering to every email, getting right back. I'll make sure they still like me or da-da-da-da. What did that look like?
Yeah. I think there's a number of components that over time have matured me to a point of owning my decisions, honoring my boundaries, and then communicating them with confidence, clarity, and joy. It's not just one thing, but it's a multiple of things that have helped me to shift. Because I honor that what you're saying, there's a shift. Yeah. But sometimes for some of us, it's not an overnight shift. It's a gradual. Yeah. Just like the earth is still turning right now. We don't feel how fast it's turning, but baby, it's turning. Right. That is, I think, how we evolve too. It's a slow build, slow but yet steady. I attribute a lot of my growth and maturing in these ways to my mentors that I would talk to regularly, and then mentors I would see from afar. The Holly Jacksons, the Carla Harrises, my big sisters in Delta, my aunts, there's so many of like big sister aunties. And then there's also my peers who I think could be a few years older than me or even peered with me in age, but may have just gotten that lesson earlier. So I'm grateful for all the group chats, all the friend circles, from the Ebonites to my AS crew in New York to, my Carolina crew, my cabinet, there are people who hold me, my husband, the people. I first start with community because I believe purpose is born in community. It's rooted in that. And I also believe deeply, you've heard me say it time and time again, you can't be your best self by yourself.
Right.
You just can't.
So good.
So they help mature me. They help reflect back the things I said I wanted to do. And then we're like, but if you said, Jovian, you want to take a vacation, why are you worried about responding while we're on vacation? Right? Like that's calling people in with love. Yeah. So there's that. I also, again, shout out to my therapist because there's a lot of real conversations that you got to get underneath to what is and there's an actual framework to these two Harvard professors, Keegan and Leahy, this idea of like our immunity to change. Sometimes we're immune to changes in our life because we are holding on to assumptions that were somewhat founded in a truth we may have seen at one point that we then have enlarged into be a permanent truth. Like, right? Like I saw that one person got promoted because they were always available to work. So now I think that's the truth when that may not always be the truth.
Right.
And so getting underneath, like, what was my immunity to wanting to change? What was I afraid of? And what were the assumptions I was dealing with? That's therapy work. That's shadowing. That's getting underneath all that. Yeah. And then I also think there's like the practice of changing your self-talk. This is one of the most accessible ways we can create lasting change in our lives. By being disciplined in how we talk to ourselves. In a moment when we feel insecure, pressure, and external pressure to do something, we got to be first real with what do I really feel? That's why like Dr. Anita Phillips' book, is so important because it encourages us to embrace our real feelings. What do I really feel? What do I want to do about that feeling? And what do I need now? Yeah. Like really getting curious about that. And I've gone through that process of asking myself that often and then practicing in safe places. You know what I'm saying? With safe friends where I can be deeply vulnerable and try on new language that I didn't try on in the past around like, I feel really worried if I, again, don't reply to this email right away that I'm not going to get the promotion or I'm not going to get the assignment. And then I can have someone safely respond to me. Why do you think that? Let's play out another scenario, right? Right. So those are some steps I've taken that I would encourage anyone to take. Get into community, get into a coaching relationship or with a therapist, do your shadow work, and then really get into the discipline of practicing your self-talk.
Yeah. I want to, wow. Yeah. I want to go back to the mental piece, about really believing those lies because of a past experience.
Yes.
And a lot of times, I'm definitely guilty of this where I would allow my past negative experiences in my life to be today's truth.
That's right. That's good, Nat. Yeah.
And in all reality, that's not the case. Yeah. And I will and I start getting into this toxic loop of having this negative thinking of, well, it happened then, so it's going to happen today.
It's going to be now, yeah.
And as we know, in entrepreneurship, our mental fortitude, our mental health is probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest pillars in our lives to sustain our business.
Absolutely.
So how do you intercept if those yesterday's truths try to become today's truths and are really not? How do you intercept that way of thinking?
Yeah. I could stand up and shout because that right there is the truth. And I would say, I would have just expounded and say, whether you are an entrepreneur or not, this is critical, but especially as an entrepreneur, even more especially if you're a solopreneur, but when you are betting on yourself, which I think we all are at some point in time in life, at some points it feels more maybe exemplified than others, but it certainly does in entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. When you're betting on yourself, you have to take care of yourself. And you have to determine what being well for you means.
Come on.
And you have to determine what your best is, not what my client thinks is best. What is my best? Right? I have had to be so disciplined in what I allow in my life. That has been one of my most consistent and most eagerly urged by God disciplines. Jovian, you can't respond to that right now. Jovian, you can't engage in that conversation. Oh, but God, everybody talking about it. It's 1,000 messages in the group chat. If I don't look now, I'm behind. I didn't ask you to do that. Jovian, you cannot respond that way. Jovian, first, I've had to say, if I'm going to be real about, I want my results to be reflected in God's glory, that means I got to try to stay as connected as possible. What do I let myself listen to in my most precious moments? When I wake up and when I go to bed, right? When you first wake up, I've had to, especially after becoming a mom, I had to readjust my whole situation. You already know, my morning routine. I was like, what morning routine? It's whatever Georgie's routine is now mine. But especially as I've been now in this process of book writing, God was like, I need you to come back over here.
Yeah.
Because you have to be disciplined in what you're letting in and what you're thinking about it and what you're then going to say. That's everything from the people. I don't go on walks with everybody. I can't. Mm-mm. I can't have one-on-one lunches with everybody. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And I'm saying this as someone who, I've loved having friends. I've always had lots of friends. I've always loved being in community with people. I love humans.
That's who you are.
It is who I am. It's a part of my gift.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And at the same time,
but you have to protect your gift. You have to protect it.
You got to protect it.
And as we know, scripture says, protect your ear gates and your eye gates. So
I have never felt that more than I do right now.
Yeah.
I felt it. And it's funny how it comes at big moments. Right before we got married, George and I, we felt really incubated. Right after we got married, right before we gave birth. I can think of other big moments. Right before I decided to announce the book. And now I feel, as my friend Camille said, she was like, because I called her one day and I was like, I just feel like I can't even be with a lot of new people right now. That's crazy for me. She was like, sis, you're in a prepare and protect season.
Oof.
And I told you that. She was like, that's what God is saying. You got to decide how obedient you're going to be.
Yeah. And you have to honor the season that you're in.
You got to honor it.
You have to honor the season you're in.
Baby, because there's a consequence for disobedience, whether it's delayed or immediate. But when you don't do the thing that you know you need to do, that you're being called to do, there's just consequences for it.
Yeah.
Just like we see with our kids. Mm-hmm. We still the same kids, though.
Yes, we are.
Right?
Speaking of kids,
Uh-oh.
Let's get into motherhood. Georgie, my God. Georgie is a star. Okay? I love y'all, by the way. Our kids play together and their relationship is just so cute.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful to see.
Beautiful.
You are a boss. You're a wife. You're a mother. How do you feel like you're able to do it all?
I don't think I'm doing it all.
Okay.
I don't. And I've heard so many different big sisters give really beautiful, I think, reflections on the way to think about the all. I love Tiffany Dufu's work around Drop the Ball. My big sister, she talks about there's some things you just got to just decide I'm not going to do. I dropped the ball on folding the laundry in our house a long time ago. I don't like doing it. I'm not uniquely positioned to do it. I frankly hate it. And I got other things that I could do that I know George won't do. And definitely Georgie can't do.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the best things that I've done in stepping into this new phase of parenthood is deciding to look at a lot of things through what are you uniquely positioned to do?
So good.
That's where your energy should focus, Jovian. And one thing I do know is that I'm Georgie's mom. I'm meant to be her mom. She needs me. And I remember being so concerned early about, am I going to be a good mom? Because I believe I had confidence if God was saying, I'm going to call this in, he was going to equip me. But it was, if I'm honest, I thought I was thinking to some extent through the wrong prism of good mom. I was thinking, will I be able to do it in some of the ways that I've seen? Even the ways I've seen my own mother beautifully for me, or other peers who've mothered. I was like, I'm the mom who loves to play, but also part of my gift is communicating. I like to talk. I'm not a baby talker. Ain't gonna be, never was. Yes. My friend Nicole early on, she was like, Jovian, the same way that you coach people, you coach me, you're going to do those same skills with Georgie. You'll actively listen. You'll affirm her. You'll mirror back to her. You'll hold space for her. Those are things you will be able to use your natural gifts in doing, and you'll do it with a depth of love that will astound you.
I love that perspective.
Right? And it's true. I think that is the case with all of us as parents. We got to give ourselves permission to be the people we've always been for our children, because I think then we give them and we sign their permission slips to say, you can do the same.
Oh, and I go back real quick to the good mom.
Yeah.
Because that right there is like, what actually is?
What is that?
What is that?
Yeah.
You know?
What is that? I mean, there are basic things that we know. You know, we need to help to create secure attachments with our children. And we want them to have their needs met.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think in terms of how we paint the picture of good mom, it could be colored in. Good parent, it should be colored in. You could be out the lines. You just got to use your colors. Right? Like you just got to use your favorite colors.
You just have to use your colors.
Yeah.
As opposed to looking over at somebody else's coloring book and their coloring blocks, use your colors.
Yeah.
That is a word.
That's a word.
That was my struggle in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, you see these moms, especially on social media, they're able to do this, they're able to do that.
Oh,
and
baby.
You're like, oh my gosh, wait. Like, so of course, naturally being a first time mom,
right.
You just want to make sure that you're able to do whatever the standard is. And
that's the thing.
Like, it's my standard. What standards does Mae Jones need? How are you able to color in Mae Jones what I've given you? And I think if I knew that early on, I don't think that I would have been in it probably as a funk as I was, because I went through postpartum depression and you knew that.
Yeah.
But a lot of my postpartum depression attributed to this expectation that I had on myself that I could not fulfill.
Ooh.
And so what
that expectation didn't come from you internally. It came from external forces that you then applied to yourself and translated into, now this is what I'm expected to do.
Yes.
That's, we talked about like resistance and stuff.
Yes.
I think so much of any resistance that we have to assignments that we know we're given in life, whether it's parent, caregive, in any capacity, to create a thing, to lead in some way, some resistance comes from our self-doubt. And that doubt, though, is rooted in thinking we need to do what someone else has done. We need to do it like them. And one of the easiest ways to lose self-confidence is to compare yourself.
Yep.
Because you then confuse what was your work to do with someone else's.
There it is. There it is.
It's so...
But that's what the enemy does.
That's confuse,
but if
distract.
We're so captivated by purpose, comparison wouldn't be a thing. And I think for me, like years ago, I used to struggle with that. I don't need more, but because now I'm so captivated by purpose, I know what I'm called to do.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
But if I try to go over there, that's when the depression comes. That's when the anxiety comes. That's when me trying to control comes. That's when, the self-doubt. That's when, feeling less than, because I'm looking at somebody else's blueprint and God's like, here's yours.
Here's yours. Your you-print.
Your you-print. I love that.
As they say.
Lastly, what legacy do you hope to leave?
Oh, gosh. Let me just get myself together. What legacy do I hope to leave? I think this book that I'm writing is a big part of it. I think my most honest desire in this life is to do what God told me to do, which is to encourage the human spirit. I want to give people a soft place to land for their hard days. I want people to feel less alone in their lived experience. I want people to feel affirmed in their identity. I want people to feel alive now in who they were uniquely, beautifully, tenderly created to be. That is what I care about the most. And I know that because that is what I want to give my daughter. That's what I want Georgie to feel. That's what I want her to know. That's what I want my husband to know in our partnership. If you know me, I want you to feel like she's safe. And not because I won't hold you accountable to doing right, but she's safe because she sees me. And I know that I can see other people because I've been seen. Because God sees me, and I think God sees all of us. And that's the thing I most want to reflect, that you're seen and that you're known.
And I'm getting emotional because that is what you've done for me. Truly. You've seen me when I haven't seen myself. You make me feel valued, understood. And so that legacy is already being felt and it's already being left. So even if you haven't done enough, if you haven't done anything else, well done, good and faithful servant. I love you. Thank you for this.
I love you too.
I low-key don't want it to end, but we got to end. No.
I love you.